What, like a physical fight?
Specify.
I've never punched anybody at work. No, I haven't. Often in disagreements with colleagues, but that's healthy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think in my 20s I was probably a bit more Rottweilery and a bit of a dog with a bone over some things, and although I don't remember specific examples, I have no doubt there were times when I wanted to bulldoze my way through, which will have upset people, I'm sure, but I've never got into a physical fight, no. Nothing, honestly, nothing at all. I cannot believe that right now I have the life I have, and I would be so scared that if I changed something I wouldn't have it. I've got 4 awesome kids, great husband. I'm still able to do everything that I love in business because through investing rather than somebody else relying on me getting up, like running a business. And it's almost scary to say it because I've kind of found that I'm done. You know, this is my happy place, and I would be really worried about upsetting it if I wanted to change something. Have we been here before? God, that's such a good question. And it's just not how my brain works. I tell you the people who scare me the most rather than the most scary person I've ever met. I don't know who the scariest person I've ever met is, actually. The people who scare me the most are real intellects, because I'm many things, but I'm not an intellect. And these are people who their brains are like machines, and they store data after data after data, just so much information. And to be honest, a lot of the time I've got a head like a sieve. So when I meet people like that, I think, oh, I'm just going to be totally shamed. Ooh, so I like a proper drink. No sweet, sugary, different coloured stuff, so I'm gin martini. Probably the most unusual item in my desk drawer is I have a little book called Princess Notes, one of those little sort of pink book, and it's where I have always written for years, 15, 20 years, I've always written sort of life goals. So it's when I feel like I haven't got the balance right, where I kind of wrote in it 5 years ago, my dream would be to always be able to take the school holidays off with the kids. And I'm there now, so it's that type of thing where it's just small dreams, or I don't exercise enough, and my goal would be to fit exercise in at least 4 times a week. It's not in a gym, it's actually part of my lifestyle. So it's those types. That's quite unusual. There's probably a dummy in there, there's probably a bib in there, I have a really interesting memory, and I think this is quite key to a lot of entrepreneurs, is I just don't remember the bad stuff. Like, I really don't. So I've definitely had really low times, I'm certain of it. I think the lowest times in my life have been if I felt lonely. So if I felt, you've got to be very, very self-propelled and the ultimate optimist to be an entrepreneur. Those I am, tick, no problem. Ultimate optimist, I don't even remember the bad stuff. But you're out there on your own a lot. So I think it's at times where things are not going well that you think, how am I going to pick myself up from this? I've actually had a really great week this week, a really diverse week. So I spent some time with government, I spent some time with one of my businesses. My best friend from Stoke, who I've known since I was 5 years old, came to stay for the night, so that was amazing. So I've actually had a really good week. It's hard to pinpoint what was the highlight, but this is kind of like a perfect week where it's all really, perfect work week I should say, where it's all really blended. Do you know what, actually? So I'm quite a good cook, like that's my thing. So I do spend a lot of time in my kitchen. I love to cook, very experimental. So I just want to caveat it with that. I cooked dinner, I had Raymond Blanc round for dinner. And I think it's one of the worst meals I've ever cooked in my life. It was years ago, it was like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. I didn't know him that well then. And I think I just wound myself up so much that, you know, this amazing chef was coming around for dinner and it was rubbish. And I know, I wish I could, he doesn't know I can cook, you know, so yeah, that's probably the worst. I just did barbecues and stuff and then we burnt it and I was like, what, really? Anyway, yeah. Oh, good question. What is my karaoke song? Thing is, the reality is that when I do karaoke, I've usually had rather a lot to drink. So probably anything at that stage. I don't know if I've ever done karaoke sober. I think if you want to have your own business and you are self-propelled, you are optimistic, you've got a natural inner drive, then it probably is for you. My best advice is to surround yourself with brilliant people. Just don't try and do it on your own. Never be afraid to knock on doors. They will open. You know, even if the first door you knock on doesn't open, either keep knocking on it or find other people. People want to help. So often the problems that you face, even if you're in a different industry, you've innovated, whatever it might be, they're going to be the same that loads of other people have gone through. So allow other people to help you and say, there's a big hole there, walk around it. So yeah, surround yourself with brilliant people. So when I finished my MBA, I hadn't actually succeeded in buying the Bombay Bicycle Club. And I'd been offered an amazing job right at the end of my MBA. And I don't know how, but I so nearly took it. And actually, I had kind of a sunbed moment where I sort of sat up. Thank goodness I'd taken a holiday before I signed any contracts or anything. I thought, what am I doing? You know, this is what I set out to do, was to have my own business. Why am I taking this job? I'm not being true to myself. So it wasn't so much a fear, but it was more, I was being very easily sidetracked. You know, the world is full of opportunity and I needed to remember what I knew was going to get me out of bed in the morning, and that was to do what I set out to do. To be asked to be an honorary graduate was such a big thing for me. I was blown away, and it's going to be, my kids can come, husband can come, my parents can come, and it's going to be such a really special day to celebrate all that I love about this place. And I'm so chuffed that they've asked me. And on top of that, the gown's pink, which is just awesome.